Welcome back. Bruce Porter joins us now for this week's Dollars and Cents segment. Good to see you. Welcome back.
Nice to be here.
I know. Glad to have you back. All right. We've got a really good question for today. Are you ready?
Yep.
Here it is. I'm approaching retirement and will need about $1,500 per month to supplement my Social Security income in order to maintain a comfortable retirement. What is the rule of thumb on how much I will need and how long it will last? This person is asking while he or she is approaching retirement.
Yeah.
This might be something you want to ask a little earlier than that, but still,
Yeah.
what's the rule here?
Here they are. They're faced with it. Now they know about how much they want it to generate. So you got to look at some statistics. You got to know some facts. Retirement age right now is around 63 is the average.
Okay.
Average term of retirement, 18 years. So that tells me 63-year-old retires, mortality is about 81, so that's what they're looking at. Now, the thing you also got to remember is medical out-of-pocket during retirement. How much is that going to cost me besides the income that I need for my standard of living? So I guess, point being, there are some variables that we need to look at. In order to establish the number, you need to know an assumption on a rate of return.
Okay.
How inflation is going to affect that income over time. Now, I did some research. Everything I looked at, I thought was a little bit too high. It used an assumed rate of return of 6% with an inflation rate of 2%, which I thought that was high. So, you know, keeping that in perspective, if we look at a chart, if you want $1,500 a month, you're going to need about $250,000 at a 6% rate of return, applying a 4% or a 2% inflation factor to generate that much income, right?
Okay.
But you can't forget the unknowns are growth, the actual inflation rate, medical out-of-pocket, other needs or desires. You may decide to buy a new vehicle. You may decide to take some excess vacations. You may decide to take up an expensive hobby. You don't know how that's going to affect your ability to maintain that income.
Right.
So when you look at that, if you want that income and your rate of return does not come up to that, you're going to need more money. If inflation is higher, you're going to need more money. So there's lots of factors we have to consider.
Is there a calculator out there that can sort of help you get started figuring this?
There is.
There are lots
you
of
have
those
to
calculators.
assume a rate of return and apply an inflation factor.
Okay.
So
But
you
it will
can
help you do
assume
that.
you can assume 10% growth. You can assume
Wouldn't that be
2.
great?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where you're going to get that.
I don't either, but
you
wouldn't
can
it be
do
nice?
that, and you might get a rate of return. You might not. The most important thing that I think of, the number one priority in retirement is safety, security, protection, and growth. You got to be cautious. When you're approaching retirement, you got to find the right tool, but you got to be careful. You've got to watch for the caution signs. You got to watch for the people that are trying to direct you away from a problem.
Get it? The caution
Right.
signs? Yep, right
So,
here. Slow
you know,
down and watch what you're doing.
Manage risk. That's the number one priority. Managing your risk. You don't know what rate of return is going to be. We don't control that, but you can manage your exposure. And if you want a simple answer, find a tool that's got guaranteed income.
Such as?
Indexed annuities. They have upside potential gains. They're insured against downside risk, and they offer guaranteed income you cannot outlive.
Are you ever too young to get into one of those? Maybe. There are other avenues that you
Sure
can put your
you
money
are.
to have better growth.
Younger people can accept more growth because they have time to recover. But when you're 55, 60, 65 years old, maybe this gentleman or lady approaching retirement, it's too late. If we go through, we're looking at a decade of low interest right now. So what happens in 10 years when we wake up and interest rates are still about where they're at? Well,
Could happen.
some might argue that'll stimulate the markets. Well, that's true, but is it a true market or a false market? I have to be very cautious about that. When I'm managing other people's money, I have to make sure that I guide them away from risk that they cannot recover from.